The new SoulMask update. A new update has been issued for SoulMask, but the things being changed kinda just ripped the soul out of SoulMask. So we just received an update from the devs on their plans going forward for SoulMask and for some to come on the way. I'm going to be reading through the new updates and I'm going to be giving my opinion on key factors that I found, but most of my opinions will stem from the major changes to the main character and the difficulty of the game. So the remodel for tribesmen has been changed, giving you the option to now store and update all tribesmen data on the mysterious stone table, allowing for the respawn of a tribesman with the most recent saved data. Because sometimes things do happen and a lot of players don't want to go through the rounds to get their tribesman back to where it was before it died. So overall, it's kind of an okay thing and I see the point of doing it. More teleportation zones have actually been added to the game. Now there are 13 different points where you can teleport to. This was actually a very nice addition on both sides because one of the nice things about SoulMask is how big the map is. It's very big, but this also means long travel times. And this helps solve that issue, which I know for a lot of you is going to be a good thing and you're going to be happy about it. I'm also happy about it because it does save you a lot of time, and a lot of time spent trying to get to one place with no teleportation zones is kind of a lengthy process, so I do appreciate this kind of update. Now, let's talk about the difficulty improvements. So mobs have now been removed from dungeon entrances, which I don't get. If someone is going to an entrance and you're removing the mobs there because you don't want them to die before they go in, doesn't that just mean the player is not ready to actually do that dungeon? If you can't defeat the mobs outside, why are you going to the dungeon? Which just takes away the difficulty of dungeons, especially the fact that you're kind of prepping to go in by defeating the mobs outside. It doesn't really make sense to me. And they also lowered the lethality of diseases and plagues. But for this, I can actually say this is a good one because those plagues can run through your tribe and absolutely demolish everything, kill off a lot of your tribesmen. And if it's your first time, you might not know how to deal with this and you just have to go with the flow, which can be very hard when it's your first time round. So taking that a little bit down and making the lethality of it not that bad isn't a bad shout, and I do appreciate that kind of update. But removing the mobs from outside of dungeons, to me, it's like just fight them. And we have also got a new update that's going to be improving your tribesmen, which was long needed. I'm telling you, biggest problem was the tribesmen. The AI did lack in a lot of things and your tribesmen were literally brainless idiots 90% of the time. But now we'll see more aggression from them when they're defending you. When they get knocked down, they can enter a quick feigned death state to recover, but this means enemies will then focus on you. So when you're out with your tribesmen and they do get knocked, beware, once they go into feigned death, the enemies will start targeting you, so always have your shield ready to go in case this happens. And now for my favorite, they have actually improved the pathfinding AI on your tribesmen. By far, one of the biggest issues I've had with these guys, literally, they can't walk. They can't even go upstairs. You can put stairs somewhere to show them, hey, go up these stairs and stop running into the wall, and they'll still run into the wall instead of going up the stairs to get around things. So if you're built in like a rocky area or an uneven area, your tribesmen sometimes will just stick around doing nothing and just act stupid. Always bugging out. Look at her, she's not doing her job because she's bugging out, bro. Joking with me. You're actually joking with me. You're actually joking with me. Bro, no. No. So this is something that we really did need. And for the tribesmen updates, I feel like all these adjustments will really help out and were actually needed in the game. So this is a big W for tribesmen update. Here we go. Updates for the next month. This is where things started looking very, very iffy to me, and I don't know if you guys agree. Some of you guys cried and cried, and the devs finally answered, and now we have main character enhancements. The main character has been given an upgrade in quality of moderate, so the blue icon, which lets it access some innate talents. Not needed in my opinion, but now it's too late because they said they're gonna do it. But let's continue. Proficiency caps have also been raised for the starting character. So basic proficiencies are now at 60. Again, I can argue that this is actually not terrible because it was at 50 and now being at 60 isn't too much of an upgrade, but it's a little thing that does help the main character out. But then combat proficiencies are now boosted to 90. Now, these adjustments were made to make the main character as good as a basic tribesman, which I was in belief was a green quality, but we jumped the hurdle right to blue. That's just crazy. Then we raised the battle proficiencies to 90, making it higher than some basic tribesman. Now, how does that work if we were trying to make the character as good as a basic tribesman? Then to add some more insult into it, injury for some players who did not want this at all, there is a new function that in my opinion just ultimately makes SoulMask lose its beauty and loses the soul of the concept of SoulMask. And this new feature is data replication. From the mysterious stone table, the chieftain not only discovered how to enter tribesman DNA, but also a magical function to transform the chieftain's body, ultimately inheriting all the abilities of their tribesmen. I can't make this up. You guys forced their hand and they actually listened. This is like saying, go get a loads of tribesmen, become an OP main character, throw away your tribesmen now, because at the end of the day, when you use this ability, the tribesmen get deleted and you lose them. Just basically throw away your mask. You don't need to jump to bodies because you have all the abilities you need. Like, this doesn't make sense. Why build a game orientated around a tribe and using multiple people to keep the tribe going? A multiple lead character game suddenly removed, giving us one protagonist that can trump the rest. It doesn't make sense. And in my opinion, all they needed to do was to give the chieftain a use when it was not being controlled. That was all they needed to do. Give it a use when it was not controlled, so it's not sitting around doing nothing, because all the people crying for all these changes kept saying the same thing that looked very odd to me. They kept saying the tribesman is useless and it just sits around doing nothing. So I think if you turn that nothing into something, they would have actually been okay and wouldn't have cared as much. They just didn't like seeing it sitting around. And now it takes away the fact that in games, the dangers of doing things adds to the play value of the game and the allure of going out and doing things, because at the end of the day, if something might make you lose things, you will go and do this thing and that excitement will build up, making you enjoy the whole gaming experience a lot more. Think about people who gamble. They gamble because they might lose it all. And in games, we gamble by going out to do a hard boss fight or a hard dungeon with the knowledge that we might lose everything we just worked for. And that is one of the biggest things for play value for players all across the board. So now it's going to be a like, oops, I died. Let me respawn my OP build and go again. Tee-hee-hee. There is no danger of exploring and there's no danger of dying. It takes away so much play value and I don't see why they did this. And then when we think about PvP, now players can raid you with a stacked immortal build that just returns over and over again, is no weaker, doesn't have any flaws because they just stacked the best traits they could and the best talents they could to make the strongest build they could make. And now your strongest tribesman, who has a few flaws, is weaker than a regular chieftain due to its innate abilities that actually help it in combat and help it in battle. It could be critical, it could be self-healing, it could be anything, hard capped or anything of the sort. And now it's going to be built in and this character is going to be immortal. How does that make sense? But it is just upsetting because this game was very unique in its own way and not a lot of games were built like it. Now it's about to just be made like every other game on the market. And there were so many possibilities on how your game experience would go depending on what tribesman you controlled. And now it's like there's no need to change over and control anyone else because you can just transfer all these abilities over to yourself. And the thing is, I know a lot of us use certain tribesmen for certain things because of their unique skills, be it self-healing or movement speed and critical perks in battle. But now you can just absorb those traits and any other tribesman that's below it might as well be your top farmer because they're all going to be useless to you and the one that you use to get those traits is gone and you just got a good tribesman and lost it right away. So that really kind of upset me. I don't know how I feel about that and I don't know how it's going to affect the longevity of the game when they've made it so easy and they've actually bent to the will of the people who were crying. And lastly, they're adding a squad mechanic to the game where your tribesmen can act as a group only for single player and private servers right now. They do intend to improve on it and roll it out over time. But again, you've made the main character stronger, rendering some tribesmen useless. Why would we need more to follow us if people are already completing the game with the character and a deployed tribesman? So 2 characters per se, and you're completing the game. Now you want to add a feature to add more characters. Why would anyone need this when the main character is going to be stronger and they'll also have that second tribesman with them? I would only really see a use for this if it was a thing of PvE tribe wars where you could opt in for a tribe war against another player on PvE or on PvP where they're actually going to war. Then it would make sense, but in the actual game right now, it would just make things a little bit easier again, because you can roll up to a dungeon or roll up to a boss fight with 4 tribesmen and you're on your own as a solo player, and it just takes away the fun and the grind and the fear out of it, and that just ruins the playing experience, in my opinion, because at the end of the day, I like to get thrills when I'm playing games, and when you start removing those, the game becomes mundane, stupid, and I get bored very easily because there is no risk, and when I get the rewards, it doesn't feel rewarding because I didn't go through any risk to get that reward. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about this, because this is kind of like just it's kind of like a big slap in the face for all the hardcore gamers out there, and I feel like we found almost a home in SoulMask, and now they just took it away for players who probably won't stick around because they'll get bored because you gave them the things they wanted. But yeah, let me know your opinions. If you think I'm stupid, let me know. If you do agree with me and you are a little bit annoyed about this, let me know as well. Did SoulMask just lose its uniqueness? And is this going to make the game better or worse? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget, if you're new here and you like my opinions, or if you don't even like my opinions, just subscribe anyway. And I'll see you guys on the next one.